Grant Nelson has a home in the NBA. Full details on what went down in the draft last night. Plus, it's my final show before vacation in New York, so we're going to have some fun today. Hot Mic starts now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo. Dom Izzo.
Good Friday morning. Welcome to the I'm Out of Here edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, and Inforum.com. Final Friday of the month. We're out of here, June. That means half the year is donezo. The back half of 2025 officially begins next week. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hot Mic on a Friday morning. We are here. I've got a few hours left, and then vacation. And you're saying, well, wait, weren't you just on vacation? Yes, that was more of a staycation. This actually, for the first time in a couple years, we're heading back to New York. The fam is coming with. So there are some travel stuff we're going to have to talk about here before the show wraps up. We're going to save that probably for the last segment of the show because we actually have some business to get through, but we're going to have some fun over the last 20 or so minutes of today's program. I guarantee you that because anytime that I travel, normally that something happens. So I guarantee that. Also, by the way, behind me here, Eric got me the Masters flag for his humble brag when he went to the Masters 3 years ago. Yesterday, Investment Talk was in here to record. They record their show on Thursdays, and we have to take down everything. Basically, all my junk I have to pick up. And yesterday, I'm putting everything back, and the frame that holds the flag here already, shout out to Dean Deutscher, already one of our engineers, repaired it once, dropped, broke everything. I cut myself. It was a mess here about 3:45 yesterday. So made a quick run and able to get – actually, I think it looks even better now. There was no blood on the flag, more importantly, but it looks pretty darn sweet now. So we had to do some physical repair in the studio yesterday. That's about the limit of my ability with my hands to repair anything. I go buy something, replace it is kind of where we're at. But we're up and running on a Friday. Great to be with everyone. We've got a lot to get to today. Our friend Cory Provus is back with us. Twins after a 4.5-hour rain delay, won against the Mariners, which we'll show you in a minute. He's in Detroit as the Tigers welcome in the Twins. The Twins are returning to Sunday Night Baseball this weekend. Not sure they're in their best form to be featured as the only game on Sunday night, but that is the case to wrap up their 3-game set at Comerica Park. We'll get to that. The NHL draft begins tonight. Had a handful of local guys that likely going to hear their name called over the next 2 days out in Los Angeles. Most notably, Sam Larilla out of Moorhead, Minnesota, is anticipating a phone call sometime over the next couple of days. We'll get into that coming up later on in the show as well. I will leave you here before I'm gone for the next 9 days with some realignment chatter because that's coming again. We talked about it yesterday. There's more to happen between now and basically Monday. And the House settlement is going to come, the deadline, in terms of what NDSU is going to do, what UND is going to do, what South Dakota State is going to do. Everybody has to let them know by basically Monday. The deadline is Tuesday, and then everybody's out for the week because it's with July 4th being on a Friday, ain't nobody working past Wednesday next week. We'll just call it like it is. So decisions are going to have to be made over the next handful of days if they're not already decided. And we'll set aside some time for that coming up later on in our show this morning. But let's rock and roll. We'll get it started with, I mentioned the Twins now are red hot. Now they're on a winning streak. After losing 5 in a row, now they've won 2 straight as they waited. The question I had yesterday is how long would you actually wait for a ball game to start? Apparently, fans waited, or at least some did, 4.5 hours for this game to start. And they got off to a pretty good start. Trevor Larnach bombs a home run in the 5th. Brooks Lee would add to it here in the 6th. Twins pitching, which we've lamented over the last 3.5 weeks, was pretty good yesterday. Up 3-zip. Now it's 5-0 when Willie Castro goes the opposite way. That'll score Byron Buxton, make it a 6-0 Twins lead. This all happened in the 6th inning. Minnesota blew this game open. They scored 8 runs. Matt Wallner caps it off with this 2-run home run. 420 feet. That is a bomb. Twins cruise. They win it 10-1. Split the 4-game set with Seattle. They finished their homestand with a mark of 2-4. Now 3 games under 500 as they head back out on the road. Simeon Woods Richardson gets the win. Went 5 innings and struck out 6. Didn't allow any earned runs, which you like to see that. Brock Stewart, Danny Kalum, Justin Topa, and Cole Sands worked the rest of the way for the Twins in getting a split of their 4-game set with the Mariners. It is off now to Detroit. The best part about it here as we sit at, maybe Cory Provus will have an answer for us at 9:30, but at least as of now, Twins don't have a starter for tonight. The Hooded Warrior is always my favorite for what the Twins are going to throw. Sawyer Gibson Long will go for Detroit tonight. No record on the season. ERA just over 4.5 for the opener, which gets going at 6 o'clock from Comerica Park. More on the Twins in a minute. I do want to ask, though, and guys in the back can certainly help me out on this. I'm curious. My dad and I went 1992, 93. We went to see the Yankees play the Red Sox at the old Yankee Stadium. It was a bus trip deal that it was a company thing that you went down for the day. You left really early in the morning on a bus, took you down to the Bronx. You got tickets to the ball game, and then right after you drove back. It was a long day, but it was cool. And point being, the game that day was delayed numerous hours by rain. I'll never let my dad forget it because he fell asleep, but my dad was working nights the night before, so there's good reason for it. Anyway, the question would be, and we stayed. There was no way we were leaving because the bus wasn't leaving with the rest of the traveling party. How long would you stay for a baseball game? They're going to play. Like, there was no way they were not playing this game yesterday because the Mariners aren't coming back to Minneapolis this year. So they were going to wait it out and it ended up being 4.5 hours to play the game. How long would you wait? Would you wait? Some would say it's an hour and I'm done. Now, depending on, for me personally, there's got to be, if I'm by myself, then I'm going to wait. I would do that. I've sat at Target Field in a snowstorm because the Mets were there about 10 years ago. There was no way I was leaving. But let's just say if it was the Royals, now granted, I don't think they would wait that long because Kansas City would come back. Give me a team that would, the Mariners, would I wait 4.5 hours? Am I by myself? Because there's no way my wife and son are waiting 4.5 hours. I asked Jack that actually last night as we were having supper. Like, Jack, how long would you wait? Would you wait 4 hours with Dad to go to a baseball game? And he shook his head. No. It's a special breed. Granted, the people that stayed, I guarantee you, John, if you can cue up the video just of the center field shot, there's no way those people behind home plate had tickets there. I guarantee you they waited it out and then were able to move down right behind home plate. I guarantee you that's what happened. Yes, because the ushers then don't care. There's no way those people had seats there. None. I don't believe that for a second that they would wait that out. Just my 2 cents. But I'm curious on that. So we got a couple of because I got another poll question coming later in the show. There you go. How long would you wait out a rain delay at a ball game? Honestly, 0-2 is going to win overwhelmingly. Some probably won't wait at all. Like if the delay comes, nah, I'm not sitting in the rain. I'm not putting rain gear on. I'm not putting the garbage bag on. None of that. I wouldn't wait.
If you'd build the roof, you wouldn't have this problem.
See, I knew you were going to say that. They had that. And your baseball stadium is a cave. I would not do that. None.
It's not a cave.
It is a cave in Milwaukee.
Last time you were there?
I was there in 2008. It's a cave.
That's like 20 plus years, almost 20 plus
It's a
years
cave. Ago. Arizona is a cave. There's too many of them. I've been to Toronto too many times. And the Sky Dome, that was the coolest thing ever when that opened in 1990. Right? And then when they open it, it's fantastic. And when they close it, it stinks. Stinks. Baseball's meant to be played outside, not indoors.
But with the price of a ticket, I'd wait as long as possible.
Even if it was a team you didn't care for?
I don't care. I sat in an Atlanta Braves San Diego Padres game in the rain the whole time.
But okay, were you by yourself?
No, I was with my wife.
Wow, she must love you. She didn't want to leave?
I don't know if I gave her the option.
Wow. See? No.
I just wanted to see the Padres lose and Manny Machado get
No,
beamed.
I would say go ahead. If you want to leave, go for it. I'm staying. That would be the deal.
Well, and with parking too, it's expensive. It's not.
It's a commitment. There's no doubt.
And there's plenty of spots where you can go sit and be dry.
See, but like for 2 hours, yes. 4? I don't think so. I don't think anybody's sitting around that long. We'll see. I'm infinitely curious on this result. We'll ask Cory Provus as well if he was not, because he had to stay around too. Everybody had to stay yesterday before they get on their charter flight to get to Detroit. All right, a couple other things here before we set up our show. We mentioned yesterday, if you missed our conversation, I would go back and podcast it or go back and watch it on WDAI Plus we had with Grant Nelson yesterday. It was good stuff with the Devil's Lake native who foretold exactly what actually played out yesterday. Grant said when I asked him what potentially could happen, said, well, if there comes down to it and there may be a team that would draft me and it's one I want to go to, I would probably pass on that and sign a free agent deal. Now, we don't know if that came to pass in terms of a team was willing to select him, but he did sign a free agent deal last night with the Brooklyn Nets, one of the teams that he told us about that he would had worked out for, and he's now got an opportunity to make an NBA roster after a stellar college career both at North Dakota State and Alabama. Now the work really begins on the opportunity for him to potentially make an NBA team. Brooklyn, and I'm sure you're not plugged in on the Nets. I'm not. They drafted 5 players in the first 2 rounds of the NBA draft. Eric, what did they have? 4 first-round picks, we said, or 5 first-round picks? They were a busy team this weekend, basically building around Nick Claxton and Cam Johnson are their 2 studs there. What's ahead? I would imagine NBA Summer League is next, and that's something we're going to work on to talk with Grant about over the next couple days. Summer League begins in Vegas on July the 10th. That's typically for players of Grant's signing or where he's at, stature, that's what's ahead for him to try and make an NBA team. So, big deal there. I mean, just the fact that a guy from North Dakota signed him with an NBA team, that's a huge, huge story. Let alone if he had a chance to get drafted, which I think we all were safe under the assumption that likely wasn't going to happen last night. But that's the deal with Grant. And we'll have more on that likely next week, and what his immediate future looks like. The NBA Summer League obviously is a mix of rookies and guys that just wrapped up their first year. They get teams that select their players to go play out there. Basically, it's a 2-week deal. Eric and I, we were out there last year for the wrap-up, right? Wrap-up of Summer League, or was just getting started. We were out there for Big 12 Media Days out in Las Vegas. It's a big deal. Every team obviously is there. Actually, Cooper Flagg and the U.S. Select team were out there getting ready for Team USA to go get its camp underway to send the Americans off to France for the Olympics last year. So it won't be as crazy as it was last summer, but something we'll be keeping our eyes on, no doubt about it. The Timberwolves, we thought would be super active. They were moderately active. They did not pick 31st. They traded that pick to the Phoenix Suns and got 2 future second-round picks. You can make of that what you will. They did end up selecting one player last night as part of a trade with the Bulls. They ended up having the 45th overall pick, and they selected another giant. Remember, the 6'11" Frenchman they selected on Wednesday night. They decided to go even taller and further away last night in selecting Australian Rocco Zakarski. 7'2", apparently without shoes. I've seen 3 different heights. I've seen 7'2", I've seen 7'3", and I've seen 7'4". Either way, the fact we have Rocco Zakarski video out of Australia will never cease to amaze me. Averaged 5 points on 50% shooting, 4 rebounds and a block for the Brisbane Bullets of the Australian NBL, which I know John's a big fan of. He's probably got the TV package at home. This guy's not coming anytime soon. This is probably a draft guy to stash for a couple years before he gets to the NBA. But you'll hear from Tim Connolly here in a second, the Wolves president. This was part of their thought process. They wanted to get bigger. They wanted to get a couple of big guys that they certainly went and did that with Yohan Beranger. I think I'm getting that right. Who they drafted in the first round with the 17th overall pick, and then Zakarski's selection yesterday. But that was it. There was no other moves. The roster, as we know it after the conclusion of the series with OKC, is what it is, likely with the departure of Nickeil Alexander-Walker as an unrestricted free agent. Here's Tim Connolly meeting with the media last night about how the Wolves draft went.
Yeah, Yohan was, I hate to say our guy because I'd be lying if I said he was number 1 on our board. The kid in Dallas is pretty good. But he was a guy that we were fortunate enough to have a workout with recently. We followed closely. It's such a neat story. I mean, this is his first year playing professional basketball. Literally started playing basketball because he outgrew his soccer cleats. He's a striker. And as we watched him more and more, he goes to Cedevita Vida in Slovenia expecting to be a second division player, just work on his skills. And every time we watch him, we're kind of blown away with his instincts, especially for a guy that's barely played basketball. Defensively, he was covering 5 spots, and he's very raw but really bright, and has developed at a pace that, quite frankly, I've never seen for a guy that new to professional basketball. So he was our guy when the night started, and we were very fortunate he was there.
I wonder is the value of those workouts, especially I guess late in the process of just maybe, I don't know, solidifying feelings, or what do you get out of those, seeing a guy just up close and personal and getting the chance to talk to him?
I think talking to him is the best. I mean, we have a pretty good sense of what they can and cannot do. Yohan came over late because he was in the Slovenian League playoffs, but really talking to a guy, and you're not going to get to know someone that well in an hour or 2 hours, but you do get a sense of what their expectations are, both personally and from a team sense, and he was wise beyond his years. I'm sorry. He went to Slovenia, couldn't speak English, and now he speaks English probably better than I do. So again, the story's awesome. I mean, we're not drafting because of the story, but I was blown away relative to how little he's played and how far he's come. And it's my 29th to 30th draft, and he's one of the more unique players I've ever seen.
So again, Beranger, we're going to see. He's going to be on the roster next year. How much he plays I can't imagine much, but he's going to be there. Here's a full breakdown from the Star Tribune of the Wolves night. The Wolves entered the second night with the first pick, number 31 overall. then made a trade with the Suns for number 36, giving up the 31st pick and gaining 2 future second-round picks. It's a 2026 pick and a 2032 pick. We'll quiz you on this at the end of the day. Then, with the Wolves on the clock at 36, he traded with the Lakers for the 45th pick and some cash, according to 2 sources, and then drafted Sikorsky, who will be a long-term developmental project who will not fill a roster spot right away. And so that's the roster. And now, come next week, the fun begins with free agency. And what Naz Reid and Julius Randle are going to do, obviously they have player options to determine what their future holds. Naz, we know, is an unrestricted free agent. I think everybody's of the mindset he's not going to be back with the team next year. They certainly got taller, no doubt about it, but these look to be both projects to me. It just doesn't seem like any immediate help came to the roster with this draft. We got plenty to get to here today. As I mentioned, last show before vacation, so we're going to have some fun before things wrap up. It is Friday. Cory Provus will join us in about 15 minutes to give us the lowdown on everything with the Minnesota Twins as they open up a set with the Tigers tonight. Sunday Night Baseball coming up on Sunday night, obviously, which I'm sure Corey's not thrilled about because they don't get to do the game, but we'll chat everything with the Twins coming up here in just a few minutes. At 10 o'clock, Jacksen Moni will join us, former West Fargo Cheyenne standout, Northern State, North Dakota State. He was not drafted last night, but his professional basketball future is wide open, and he'll give us the lowdown on what's gone on basically since the Summit League tournament in March. He's been a busy man, not only rehabbing from a broken wrist, but the NBA has worked him out a couple times over. So we'll talk to Jacksen about what's ahead for him coming up at 10 o'clock. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Friday morning. We're glad you're spending part of it with us. Let's rock and roll. Hot Mic returns after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody. Friday morning show off and rolling. Cory Provus joining us in about 10 minutes' time. Looking forward to that. There is some other television news that's breaking here. We've talked plenty over the last, and you've heard plenty about it over, I would say, the last 18 months of obviously the end of the relationship between TNT and the NBA. That is now officially over with the NBA season being done. The new NBA contract with all the television networks begins now next fall, meaning NBC's in the loop. Amazon comes in. Obviously, ESPN and ABC are retaining their rights. But the other big undecided question mark out there was what the future of NBA TV would be, because that has been run by Turner since 2008, I want to say. And the story broken by Front Office Sports this morning says that relationship is over. And this is coming from Ryan Glassbeagle, who does a great job covering sports media, says a source tells Front Office Sports that MLB Network has had, quote, preliminary discussions about taking over the TV production of NBA TV as it has with NHL Network. And MLB's network spokesperson declined to comment. Now, NBA TV has had more than a handful of games, live games. They've had playoff games. In fact, I think Eric and I joked when the playoffs got started this year that the Bucks-Pacers series was going to be exclusive to NBA TV. But now with the new contract coming in, there are way less games available that TNT and Turner obviously didn't see it as a viable money-making deal going forward, that they're basically out. What that means, as you could read that story, and perhaps that MLB Network takes over. For those that don't know, and I'm not sure how many people out there watch the designated network channels. I watch MLB Network quite a bit. They have tons of games on, which is different than the other channels. NHL Network probably has a fair amount of games. I used to really like NHL Network for having Hockey Night in Canada on Saturdays, especially with not having the package. But now that's all different, that you can stream every game, which is why the NHL's TV deal is top-notch, in my opinion. I don't know what the appetite is for the average sports fan for the designated networks. MLB Network and NHL Network are run out of the same building in Secaucus, New Jersey. I believe the NBA TV is out of Atlanta, considering that was run by Turner. So that may change going forward. But that's one of, again, for those that consume it and love the NBA, and I do, I love watching it, especially since the Wolves have gotten better, that everything we've known about how we watch basketball, professional basketball, is all going to be different next year. Because you're going to have national games now on network television numerous times out of the week. Monday and Tuesdays are going to be on Amazon. Wednesday will still be on ESPN. I believe Thursday is Amazon as well. Friday, ESPN. Saturday, Amazon. And then Sunday, NBC. Or Thursday and Sunday is NBC. We'll get the full details on this over the summer. But all of that's going to be different for basketball fans going forward. Which is, change is different. Change is hard. I mean, we talked about this during the NFL part when that all went down in terms of Amazon picking up the Thursday package, the different playoff games that went to streaming, Netflix coming in. Viewers have had to adjust, and another round is coming. And I'm going to save this for a topic definitely in the summertime about what the future of television sports streaming is, because gotta think the bubble's going to burst here. That there's only a certain amount that fans are going to pay before they're going to be done. We'll reserve that for later on. We've got a quieter day in the summertime. We'll break, bottom of the hour. Here we come back. Cory Provus will join us from Detroit. Twins getting set for a weekend set with the best team in baseball, the Detroit Tigers. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on this overcast Friday, right after this.
Deep to left center field. Back it goes and gone. The 0-2 pitch. Hey, struck him out swinging at 101. Swinging a drive. Left field and deep. Back it goes and gone. And the Twins walk it off again.
All right, it is that time on a Friday. We're joined by Cory Provus. He calls, of course, Minnesota Twins baseball on twins.tv. His appearances are brought to us by Welton's Tire Service. Great to catch up with him as the Twins get set to start a series in Detroit. All right, we have a poll question going today, and I know you have to take yourself out of it, your job out of it, because you had to stay yesterday. But if you were just going to a game, how long would you stay if the game is delayed? You know they're going to play. It's just a matter of you got to wait it out. How long would you stay?
Am I with my children?
Yes, because I would say yes. How long?
I would stay no more than an hour.
Okay.
If I'm by myself,
yep,
I'd be more inclined probably to stay a bit longer. Now, I'll say this: if I was by myself, I'd hang out. But if I was with my wife, 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't think she would stay more than she would say. She'd look at that forecast and say, "Out. We're leaving. I'm leaving you if you force me to stay any longer."
Yep.
So yeah, those that stayed, God bless you, and they saw a great game.
Yeah.
They saw a day that the Twins needed, a day that the offense needed, and come into this series with some momentum now.
Now, I was also convinced for the people that stayed, like the ones that got on camera behind home plate, there's no way they had those seats, right? They moved down because the ushers just said, "Yeah, come on, go ahead."
I would think so. Now, the Champions Club seats, I don't think they just took people from the upper deck to come down. But I'd imagine those that were behind the dugouts, I would say they just say, "Come on down, enjoy the day. You've waited 4+ hours to see a baseball game. Have at it.
Right?
Target Field is your oyster and enjoy your day."
Let's talk actually some baseball here. You mentioned yesterday was needed. How badly, Cory, were the last 2 days needed to put together two solid baseball games?
I mean, you see the difference if your starters give you a chance. And that's really what it boils down to. What has gone on this month is that the pitching has been so bad. I mean, historically bad. I mean, the Twins, the team pitching numbers this month are trending in a way that they haven't touched. I think we had the stat. It was April 1994. The Twins pitching numbers overall, the ERA was approaching 8, I believe, that month. And here, the Twins' team ERA was approaching 7 before the last couple of days. So it really boils down to that not too long ago, entering the month of June, the Twins had a top 5, top 6 rotation pitching numbers in the game. And to truly see that number double, not just regress, Dom, but double, I don't think anybody saw it coming. So it's been ugly. And yes, there were times, and the pitching carried this team for 2 months. So again, some regression I think was expected, but not to bottom out in the way that it has. And that's really what it boils down to. Sure, the offense could, hey, they have their spots. Defensively, it hasn't been sound. Some mistakes, yes. But to me, you just can't win if your team ERA is around 7. You're not going to win many baseball games.
And the issue, and you just talked about it, where if you're a Twins fan and watching, maybe you miss the start of it, so you flip it on maybe a half hour in. Twins are down 4-0. They're down 3-0, down 5. I mean, you're not even, if your starters aren't giving you a chance to win, then there's no chance you're going to win the ball game.
And if you look at it, and we see this in our game notes every day, they break down towards the back of the game notes, and any fan can look this up too. They break down inning by inning scoring. Like, what innings are you doing the best as an offense? And conversely, what innings are your pitching numbers inflated? And by far, the largest gap that the Twins have any one inning this season is the third inning. The run differential in the third inning is like almost minus 30, 25, minus 30. And look at what we saw, whether it was Bailey or Chris Paddock the other day. We're not just seeing a run or two score. We're seeing crooked numbers. And like after 3 innings, you're right, it's 6-0, it's 5-0, and here we go again. And it's like, okay, offense, let's get back, try to get us back in it. But man, it's deflating just to know that we're still on the same merry-go-round, different day, but man, another sizable number against your team early on, and mentally it's going to drain you.
I know Pete Mackey, the pitching coach, called a meeting. Can you give us the synopsis of what that was with the starters and just how they go forward? Granted, Pablo's maybe not coming back at all. Zebby's out. This is the crew they got of what it's going to look like going forward.
Yeah, I was surprised even that leaked out because something like that seems, that they'd want to keep internal specifics. They weren't going to open up too much about what was said. But my understanding was it was pretty passionate, and it was open floor. Let's have it. Open for ideas, debate, discussion. And Chris Paddock, I guess, was pretty emotional about it. And it makes sense. Paddock's a free agent. And Paddock, this is a very important year for him. Kind of where he's at with his career is 29. He's had some great moments. And then he's had some moments of regression, too. But I think what Pete said the other day was, are we walking more guys this month? Yes. Are we not doing as well with 3-ball counts? Yes. 2 outs have been a problem. The Twin staff has allowed the most 2-out runs of any team in baseball this month. And it's just a game changer. You're 1 pitch away from ending the inning, minimizing the damage, and it just hasn't happened. And to go back to Pete, if he's asked, okay, what's wrong with the pitching? He said, well, it's not just one thing. It depends on the guy. Depends on the day. Bailey's last start, as Pete mentioned, did he walk many guys? No. Did he strike out many guys? Yes. But did he give up home runs with guys on base?
Yeah.
Yes. So that specific day, Bailey struggled in areas that David Festa did not. Festa, it's more about strike throwing, command, what's going on. That second time a lineup sees him, that's why he used an opener last time. We'll see what's in play tonight, if Festa starts tonight or if they have an opener in front of him. But it's been like a different thing with a different guy every day. So it's not just been one set area of struggle or inconsistency. It's been a variety of things, and that's why we've seen those numbers balloon in the way that we have.
I was going to ask, has there been any indication of who goes, of what the plan is for tonight?
Not that I know of. I mean, I haven't checked. I've been really doing more on the Tigers than I have the Twins so far today. And, I don't know if the bullpen usage last night, if with Dandy Coulomb throwing, I don't know if that impacts today. So maybe they do just start David Festa. They tried the opener twice. It hasn't worked. Once in Atlanta and then once on the last homestand. So it wouldn't shock me if they just say, "Hey, David, here's the ball, go get him, and we'll see what we do."
We'll get to the Tigers here in just a moment. I know the big talk, Corey, especially after the weekend with the Brewers and the first 2 games with the Mariners, like, okay, this stretch between now and the All-Star break is really going to tell, at least in my opinion, I think a lot of others, what the fate of the 2025 Twins is. If things go sideways, in your opinion, do you see moves coming?
Yes. I see moves coming because that's what history has told us.
Yeah.
When the Twins traded Jose Barrios, he was under team control for another year, but the Twins were not a contending team. And I just think that, Derek Falvey is of the mindset that they just can't say, okay, it wasn't our year, let's bring the whole team back and try again. It's not really how they operate for the most part. Remember last year, they stayed quiet, and there was a lot of debate about that, and it ended up biting because they didn't do much, and they had a contending team that I think in non-contending years, there's more evidence to say, yes, that they might trade away some assets that they would otherwise keep, or maybe even stay quiet when they are more of a contending team. So, yeah, I think if these next couple of weeks don't go well, I think the Twins are going to be a fascinating team around that trade deadline to watch and study.
And to me, those middle relief guys, then they've been really good. Those are the ones that can fetch you a couple of prospects. The teams will. You've talked about this, I know, last year. Teams overpay for those are the guys that set you up to win.
Yeah, I would be almost stunned if the Twins are in that position that we referenced, that, Duran, Jax, Varland, Stewart, if they're all still on the team. I'd be shocked if the team doesn't improve and they continue on this path where they win a couple but then lose 4 or 5 in a row. I'd be surprised if they have the same team as we sit here and chat now that they do in early August. I'd be almost surprised if that happens.
Last thing before we break, Cal Raleigh, chances of him winning the MVP are high, in your opinion, for 2025, or no?
I mean, it's no, because Aaron Judge is killing it. I mean, Aaron Judge is having he's having an unbelievable season in every possible way. He's not just killing it on offense and playing average defense. He's really good, and he's doing this without the Juan Soto protection, I think is incredible. Aaron Judge, no, I think Aaron Judge is the MVP right now. It's a shame because, yes, Cal Raleigh in any other year would have this thing locked down. It's amazing what he's doing. He's setting records every single day. He had a great season series against the Twins. It was pretty cool the other night, though, that Joe Ryan struck him out 3 times. Only now twice has that happened to Cal Raleigh this season, that one pitcher struck him out 3 times. It was Michael King in San Diego and Joe Ryan with the Twins. That's saying something. That tells you how good Joe Ryan is and how good he was the other night.
How many All-Stars in your mind right now from the Twins?
Oh, I think just one.
Okay.
I think just one. And it's a shame because I think, I hope it's Byron Buxton because of I think the local tie there is great. The All-Star game being in Atlanta, and Byron's from, not close to Atlanta. He's from a few hours south in Baxley, but still native Georgian. I think that'd be great. So I think he is the overwhelming favorite. But Joe Ryan certainly, I think, is in the conversation. Griffin Jax should be. But with his role, it's tough to make it because the pitching rosters either are starters or closers, and Jax's ERA is on the higher side, even though he's got this incredible strikeout rate of 40%. Amazing. League average is 22%. He won't make it. And Joe Ryan's been great. I don't think he'll make it. But I think right now, most likely only one, and a deserving one at that. I think Buxton's going to be in his second All-Star game.
All right, we'll break, come back much more with Corey, talk about the potential return of Royce Lewis, who's beginning to rehab, and look ahead to the series with the best team in baseball, the Tigers. That's coming up on the other side of the break. More with Cory Provus from Detroit. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour. Cory Provus joining us in Detroit. His appearance is, of course, brought to us by Welton's Tire Service. Twins and Tigers coming up at 6 o'clock. We'll get to in just a second. It was 2 weeks ago tonight, Corey, that Royce Lewis tweaked again. The same hamstring here early in spring training. He's going to start a rehab assignment with the Saints tonight. Is this better news that he's able to do that so soon after he got hurt?
I think so, and I think it matches with what the diagnosis was when it happened in Houston. Is that it's same leg, but not as severe in a different spot. That they felt like this was more of kind of what Pablo dealt with early in the season. That this was, I guess, a grade 1. And yeah, he's going to rehab tonight. He'll DH with the Saints here tonight. So it's I think it's great news. I think it's great news that he's able to get back, but they are in no rush. Yeah. Though this is not going to be, hey, 3 games and then meet us in Miami. I think it's more on the homestand than it is at all on this road trip. So he's got a DH, he's got to run, he's got to play some third, he's got to play back-to-back games. So he's going to travel. I believe St. Paul's on the road next week. They're home tonight. So if you want to see Royce play, that'd be great in St. Paul against Louisville. But I believe they're on the road next week. And I would imagine he'll travel with the Saints next week.
Email coming to ask you about the Brooks Lee play that happened on Saturday that got some attention, that he didn't run out after striking out late in the game on Saturday. Ask your thoughts on what happened there.
A little surprised he played the next day. I had in my head, I was going to ask Rocco this question if he was not in the lineup. Was it because of that? And he did play the next day, but he was accountable. It looked bad. Can't happen. Everybody said as much. Rocco said that he has to run. Brooks said he has to run. It was just an ugly game and a bad way to end it, and a bad way for his hitting streak to end too. So yeah, I was a little surprised he played the next day, but he owned up to it. He made a mistake. Won't happen again. And Rocco rarely even will publicly say and reveal what he said to a player, but he made that public on Sunday morning that, nobody liked it, and I talked to him, and it won't happen again. He has to run. Everybody knows that. So I think we mentioned it. It looked bad. Yeah. Said as much on the air, and but now it's in the past, and he's been back in the lineup, and he's been great. He's been hitting, not for a ton of ball. He went deep yesterday, but the power numbers, if you bring up his baseball savant page, you don't see a whole lot of red. It's a lot of blue. But he's getting on base. He's getting his hits. I still like his defense. I know he had a rough game against Milwaukee, but I still like him a lot on the left side of the infield.
All right, here comes the best team in baseball. And we talked plenty last summer on how hot Detroit got from basically the All-Star game in, and they've carried that over in 2025. They have the best pitcher maybe in the game, and Tarek Skubal is going to go on Sunday. What makes, in your mind, the Tigers so formidable?
They have won the most since August 3rd of last year. They have the most wins of any team in baseball. And the pitching chaos that they employed at the end of the year, man, it worked. They became, as a pitching staff, this ground ball, sinker ball throwing machine that was just incredible. And, they added to their team this offseason. They brought back Jack Flaherty. They signed Gleyber Torres as free agent. And Torres, the change of scenery for him, leaving the Yankees to go to the Tigers, has done him wonders. I mean, he's looking like he's going to be in the All-Star game. Javier Baez is the one that nobody saw coming. No. And Javier Baez, he might be in the All-Star game as well. Spencer Torkelson wasn't even guaranteed a job. In spring training, because when they signed Gleyber Torres, they were moving Colt Keith to first base. And it's like, hey, Torkelson, you might be a DH or you might be in AAA. You got to beat out Colt Keith. And Torkelson, up until recently, was having this resurgent season. So they're really good. They if you look at their hitting numbers, they're top 5, top 10 in many key categories. Their pitching numbers are good. It was a really good story. Mike Petriello from MLB.com and the creator of Baseball Savant had that the Tigers, despite being a team that doesn't steal bases, they're not very fast, but they are the best in the game at taking the extra base. First to third, second to home. Forget force plays. I'm just talking about when they have the ability to go the extra 90, sometimes the extra 180, they do it, and they do it better than anybody else in the game. So there's some margins in there that they're exposing, and it's working to their advantage. They're great at home. I mean, they're really tough at home. They've got some injuries right now, and they lost a key arm in Jackson Jobe, Tommy John surgery. He's out for a long time. But, game 1 tonight, they're going to see Sawyer Gibson Long, and Twins fans may remember his name. He was drafted by the Twins, a minor leaguer with the Twins, then traded to the Tigers for Michael Fulmer a couple of years ago. And Gibson Long, he's come back from injury. He'll go tonight. Casey Mize on Saturday, and then you've got Scuba on Sunday night. So a tough series, tough ballpark, should be packed, but hopefully the guys are up for it.
You can give us the insight on this because Sunday Night Baseball is a big deal to fans, but for players, they don't care for it, correct?
Nobody. I'm telling you, man. I didn't know that, and I loved watching Sunday Night
As
Baseball
did
as a kid.
Same
I
here.
loved
Same here.
John Millen,
Yep.
John Miller, Joe Morgan. I loved Sunday Night Baseball. So my first year of the big leagues, 07 with the Cubs were whatever the max. I forget if it's 6, 7, whatever the number is. You're only allowed to be on Sunday Night Baseball X amount of times. Otherwise, it'd be Yankees and Red Sox and Mets and the Cubs every Sunday. But the Cubs maxed out their Sunday night allotment every year, and they still do. And I remember, Sunday Night Baseball, this is great. And then I'd ask and be like, no, it's not, because Sunday night is either a night to get home or you're on to the next stop on the tour. So yeah, for the Twins, it's their first Sunday night game, I think, since they played at Wrigley. It might have been in 2020 during COVID.
God, I had no recollection of that. Man, that's
they have
crazy.
not had a Sunday night game in my time with the Twins. So my first year was 2012. So maybe I'm guessing 2010, the first year of Target Field, is when they probably had their last home game on Sunday Night Baseball. So they're not on very often, and that's been fine by me because it's a long night. The team's going to travel, get down to Miami, and they'll get in 2, 3 in the morning and have the off day Monday. That's great, but it puts the Twins, back in the spotlight. But I think they're in the spotlight a lot. You play on Fox, you play on Apple, you play a Roku game. I think they're on national TV quite a bit. So they'll be on Sunday Night Baseball. It's going to be Scuba on Sunday night. It's going to be awesome. I think at the ballpark, the scene's going to be great. I think Chris Paddock will be fired up to match. I think the game's best pitcher. So from an environment standpoint, it'll be fun. But for those that are in it and travel, no, it's not something that you enjoy doing.
Last thing before we go, and I really appreciate the time as always. We got to see up close, you did as well, over the weekend with Jacob Misiorowski, who's now the next big thing. He and Paul Skeens went head-to-head earlier in the week. Is it his height? What makes him unhittable right now?
I mean, we kept hearing about his walk rate in the minor leagues. So he's a guy that throws hard, has these incredible weapons, but he's going to be behind. He's going to walk you. Well, I didn't see that guy, and none of us did. That was Hunter Brown, because Twins have seen him twice, and he's been awesome twice. That, to me, has been the bar. Well, Misiorowski, I think, matched him. I mean, if not exceeded him, and that's paying a lot of praise to deservedly so to one of the game's bright young stars, because Brown has been great too. But that was something. That was really something to see. And it wasn't just chase. He was painting. He was hitting the inside corner, the outside corner, slider, changeup, great fastball velocity. He's 6'7". He weighs like 130 pounds. But he throws 102, and it was something to see, man. That was a heck of a show, and Joe Ryan was great. I mean, Joe Ryan was really good. It was a great pitching matchup, but Misiorowski is something else, and he's a treat, and he's going to be somebody that when he's pitching, crowds are going to come out, and that was packed. That was a day game against Pittsburgh that they had with him against Skeens, and he outpitched Skeens, and Milwaukee put up 4 runs against Skeens early and won that game. But, man, that's great. I like the fact that there's a bright young star, another bright young star in our game. I just hated that he went against the Twins.
It's great to see you, man. Have a great call tonight. Safe travels to Miami. We'll talk next week, okay?
Okay, Dom. Thanks, buddy.
Cory Provus back with us here. His appearances each and every Friday brought to us by Welton's Tire Service. Twins and the Tigers start a series tonight, 6 o'clock in Detroit, and then it's a noon start tomorrow. And then, as mentioned, Sunday Night Baseball, obviously Sunday night at 6. Eric sent me this. September the 20th, 2020 was the last time the Twins were on Sunday Night Baseball. They beat the Cubs 4-0. I have no recollection of that. Granted, that whole late fall of 2020, I don't think anybody wants recollection of, but that was the last time they did it. All right, we'll break. We come back. We got some breaking news with our next guest. Jacksen Moni will join us, former West Fargo Cheyenne standout, Northern State standout, and Bison standout, about the next step for his pro career. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on a Friday, right after this.
This is Hot Mike on the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2 on this Friday morning, ready to rock and roll. Before we get out of here, at least for myself, for a little vacation, and at least for the weekend. We chatted about it off the top of the show, what went down with the NBA draft last night. We know Devils Lakes Grant Nelson signed a free agent deal with the Brooklyn Nets. We were also waiting on one other local guy that was going to get a shot at pro basketball, and we just found out what's going to happen with West Fargo's Jacksen Moni. He'll be playing with the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA Summer League coming up in just a couple weeks. And how about that for timing, is the man joins us now to chat about that. It's great to see you, bud. Congratulations. Give us the lowdown. How did this come about with the Spurs?
Yeah, so obviously after the end of the draft, my name wasn't called. And then my agent had reached out about a couple of teams about the possibility of playing Summer League with a couple of teams. And he just thought it was in my best interest that I would play with the Spurs. And that's kind of how that happened.
Describe what this process has been like. I know we'll get to the workouts because I know you've been working out for some teams as well. Just last night, were you nervous? What were the emotions of how the night played out last night?
I was a little nervous, obviously, but I think for me, just the biggest thing was just staying confident, knowing that my time would come, and I'm just blessed with the opportunity to play with the Spurs in the Summer League.
So what did your agent tell you about this opportunity? Basically, just it's a tryout, go out there and wow them as best you can?
Essentially, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, the NBA is a pretty exclusive club where not a lot of guys can make it. So I think the biggest thing for me is just going out there and playing my game and trying to shock the Spurs about the talent that I have.
For people that don't follow the game super closely, Jacksen, can you describe what Summer League is and what your opportunity is going to be here in a couple weeks?
Yeah, so it's basically a big showcase for a lot of NBA prospects, a couple overseas guys, and just a show basically where you can just go out there and kind of prove to the world about how you play. There's a lot of like NBA players that go out there, a lot of scouts, GMs, etc. So just a showcase what I can do.
Is this almost like going back to AAU ball? What this is going to be like, basically, because you were trying to get college coaches to recruit you. This is almost something similar.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, I haven't really thought about it in that way, but now that you say that, it's essentially the same thing.
How excited are you for it? And also balancing, not trying to be, put the weight of the world on your shoulders for each and every time you're out there and you get the ball in your hands.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an opportunity knowing that I won't have as many opportunities as I did at NDSU where the ball is in my hand majority of the time. So especially with times like that where just being able to showcase different parts of my game, really highlight that more on the defensive side or grabbing more rebounds, just anything like that. And then when the ball does come my way, just trying to maximize that opportunity.
All right, so let's go through what the last month and a half has been like, because you've been traveling, you've been working out. Give us the lowdown on what the last 6-7 weeks have been like for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty hectic and also pretty draining at the same time where, I mean, you'll fly to a city, you'll work out, and then the next day you'll fly to another city and work out. So, I mean, for me, I'm just glad to be back home with friends and family, just kind of soaking that time in with them. And then obviously having to go to the San Antonio a little bit, start training camp with that. But again, I think for me, it's just a surreal feeling. Never really thought I'd be in this position. But again, I feel like that's what hard work and dedication to the sport of basketball will do for you.
I know you got a chance to work out with Memphis. Can you give us a couple other teams you had a chance to work out for?
Yeah, so I worked out with Memphis. I worked out with both the LA teams, Utah, Detroit, Milwaukee, Houston, Brooklyn Nets. I mean, I'm missing a couple, but those were.
Were the Spurs one of them too? Did they work you out or no?
Actually, no.
Yeah,
I didn't.
That's
so
interesting how that works. Give us. We were talking with Grant about this yesterday. Inside the workout, what that actually goes. Are you playing basketball? Are you running? Like, what does the actual workout consist of?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's different for every team, but it essentially just kind of consists of like a lot of testing, more of like your vertical, your speed, a lot of force plates, jumps, and then it's just a variance of either a 1-on-1, 3-on-3, and then some teams even do conditioning at the end. So just the biggest thing for me going into those workouts is just trying to be the tip-top shape, the best shape I can possibly be. So,
do you get any feedback from them? Hey, we liked you, or is that something they communicate through your agent? Or is there any one-on-one communication you get?
a little bit. I mean, you have interviews with the teams either before or the end, but a lot of that communication really just goes to the agent, and then the agent will kind of relay that message back to me.
Well, obviously, you must have got some positive feedback. What did your agent tell you through the workouts of what teams were saying about you?
I mean, they just like the versatility part. Being 6'10", being able to pick and pop, facilitate. I think that not a lot of guys can do that. So a lot of scouts really enjoyed that part. So that's most of the feedback that I got from them.
You mentioned health-wise, and that's the biggest thing. I already got 2 emails knowing you were going to come on to ask about your health. And because we haven't had a chance basically to chat since the season ended, to take us back to late February, early March, and what went on with your hand and your wrist.
Yeah, so essentially, I mean, my wrist had been bothering me a lot of the season, so I ended up just getting an MRI just to make sure everything was okay. And it kind of concluded that I had a break in my scaphoid. So, I mean, just talking with Dave and close family and friends, they just thought the best opportunity for me was just get surgery on it as soon as possible. So I ended up doing that. Obviously missed the last senior night and then the tournament. But I mean, just for me, a lot of that recovery, it took about 8 weeks, just a lot of like motion and strengthening stuff. But I mean, I'm feeling pretty good right now.
So the flip side of that, if you decide, could you have tried to play through it? But the flip side is you wouldn't be ready now, correct?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I tried playing on it. But again, like it got to a point where it was hard. It was difficult to shoot, difficult to pass. And I just didn't think that it was fair to my teammates to keep pushing myself like that. Especially just the way I felt like I wasn't having a lot of impact on the game.
I want to go back. I think the game in Grand Forks, I could maybe sense something was bothering you. Was that when it was at its height of how it was really painful and it's affecting me now?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, just little things like dribbling, passing, shooting is kind of where I really felt it. Obviously, I felt it a couple games before that, but that was probably at its peak.
How gutting was it to see the Summer League tournament game play out the way it did, where you guys are ahead for most of it, and how it flipped on its head basically in the last 2 minutes?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I don't want to be on the bench watching that. I wish I was out with my teammates, helping them out. But again, I think it's just, I mean, it was a great experience for me, great experience for the guys that are returning. And I hope that they can learn from that and build off that for the next upcoming season.
So right now you're 100% in terms of,
yep.
Okay. When did you start feeling you were close to 100%? How, it can't be that long ago, right?
Yeah, I would say probably like close to like a week before the G League camp. I would say around there.
You got invited to that in Chicago. So give us what that experience was like, and basically and showing yourself off with the couple days in Chicago for the G League Invite Camp. What was that experience like?
I mean, it was great. There's a lot of top tier basketball players there. A lot of interviews with different teams. Ultimately, just a great experience for me to kind of go out there and experience that. And I feel like that's ultimately helped me kind of put me into the position I'm at right now.
Have you had a chance now that this is, and I know it's fresh still, to think about, okay, I've been dreaming about this since I was a kid. Now I got a shot to do it?
Not necessarily. I think for me, just living in the present, not really trying to think about too much into the future. I mean, that's kind of how I've lived my basketball career, and I just kind of want to keep it the same way, knowing that I'm this close. And I mean, just doing anything that I can today that'll ultimately help me in the future has kind of been my mindset.
We chatted about this time last year, bud, about transferring from Northern State here. If I would have told you this time last year professional basketball is going to happen, would you have believed me?
Honestly, probably not. I don't think I don't think I'd be in this position today. But again, I think that's just with hard work, dedication, and then my shout out to my coaches and teammates for kind of putting me in this position, helping me get to this point.
I know it didn't end the way you wanted to, but can you encapsulate the year you spent at NDSU and what you got out of it?
I mean, it was great. I mean, I learned a lot of different things from Coach Richmond and his staff. I made lifelong friendships at NDSU that'll last forever. So I mean that one year was, one of the best times of my life in terms of just being a college student and then playing basketball. So I just want to thank them for welcoming me into their home, especially with the transfer portal being how it is. And I felt like we were able to make the most of it throughout the year.
Was it what you thought it would be, Jackson? Get a chance to come home, be by your daughter, and experience what you would hope? Was it what you thought it would be?
Honestly, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But I think it lived up to the moment, just being able to be at home, being a father figure for Sky, and then also playing basketball, two things that I wanted to do in my college career, and I was able to do that.
There's two games that stand out to me I want to ask you about. The Santa Clara game and obviously the Butler game. Where do those rank for you personally, how you played and the memories you made in each of those games?
For sure. I would say they're definitely up there. I think it was just a classic Dave Richmond team, showing resilience and our toughness throughout the game. But those games in particular, they're going to stand out to me in my college career for sure.
The fact of playing basketball not that long ago, West Fargo, Cheyenne, and now get a chance to go and do this. I know you're thinking in the moment, but just when you have a second, like, man, this has been quite the journey.
No, for sure. I feel like my journey has been a little unorthodox compared to everybody else's. Going Division II for 3 years and then transferring up to Division I for my last year. So, I think the biggest thing for me is just being thankful. I've got a great supporting cast with me that want to see me do the best I can. It's definitely just a surreal feeling.
Speaking of surreal, I got to go back to that night in Sioux Falls because you guys are coming out on the floor, and I knew you weren't going to play. I didn't know about Jakari either, and each of you had similar injuries. Just can you describe what those few days were like after the season ended, knowing you have a broken wrist and then he did as well?
Yeah, it was crazy. So, I ended up getting surgery on it. I came back, and they said that Cory had broke the same bone in the same wrist that I had. So, we were able to kind of just, go off each other, knowing that PT is going to be the same. Just really just encouraging each other that once we're back, we're going to come back better and stronger. But yeah, it was definitely surreal. Just coming and weird, honestly, just seeing that. Unfortunate that it happened, but I think Carl will do just fine in the future.
Now, the fact how many already spreads now, can you still stay in touch, especially how, there ended up being 7, 8, or 10 guys that ended up leaving, 3, obviously yourself moving on, that there were 7 other guys who moved to different spots. Do you try and stay in touch, or how difficult is that?
No, for sure. I try to keep in touch with a lot of the guys, just kind of checking up on them and seeing how they're doing. And kind of like I said before, just, making those lifelong friendships, in my 1 year at NDSU. I feel obligated to kind of just check on them, making sure they're doing all right, checking up on their situation. But a lot of guys love it. And, we got a group chat that we still communicate with each other every day through.
For the couple of the guys that are holding over, Trayson Anderson comes right to mind. You got to see him up close. How can this kid be pretty special if it comes to fruition here?
I do. I truly do. I think that there's times in practice where he was killing. And I think, honestly, he doesn't understand, how good he can become. And I think the coaching staff sees that, and I believe that they'll bring it out of him, and he'll have a pretty good year this upcoming year.
Dave was telling me, before I let you go, Bud, that Damari was killing you guys at the end of the season. How accurate is that? Because Bison fans remember what he can do. What was he like back on the floor at the end of practice at the end of the season?
No, I can confirm that. It got times where it got bad. Damari was really feeling himself, making shots. So, what Dave is saying is definitely true. And again, I'm expecting him to have a big breakout year. But I'm just proud of the guy for his resilience, and having that injury, having to sit out for a year is tough. But he never complained. He never quit. So he'll definitely have a great year this upcoming year.
All right, last thing before I let you go, give us the timetable or what you know from what the Spurs or your agent have told you of what the next couple weeks will look like.
Not too much, honestly. Obviously, it's still new. Figured this information out yesterday. So, again, kind of like I said before, just heading down there next week, having training camp. They've got 2 different summer league classics, essentially. So, not too much. Again, just trying to control what I can control and trying to get better every day.
It's great to see you, bud. Congratulations. Thanks so much for making time for us this morning. Good luck over the next couple of weeks, and we'll catch up soon, all right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great to see you. There he goes. Jacksen Moni, West Fargo Cheyenne alum, Northern State, North Dakota State standout, finding out just about a half hour ago that he's going to be playing with the San Antonio Spurs in NBA Summer League beginning in just a couple weeks. And what a crazy ride it's been over just the last couple of months. You go back to what happened at the end of the regular season. Won't forget it that we're getting ready for our final broadcast. Bison are playing South Dakota, and Jackson's not dressed, not warming up. And I knew that, and I've been told this, that his wrist had been bugging him, and it had been bugging him since early in the season. In fact, he missed a couple games early in the year and had no idea to the extent of how bad it was until we got to Sioux Falls the following week, and we had heard, and I think we had talked about it, heck, nonstop on the program, and those remember, it's not that long ago. And then seeing Jakari White also in a cast when I got to the Premier Center, like, oh, boy, this is, are you serious? And then, obviously, I think Dave told the story in his final appearance he had of us during the season that found out the injuries to each of his two first-team Summit League standouts. So great to hear that Jacksen is back healthy, because I know we got an email about it prior to him coming on the show, so glad that he was able to explain it. And now with a chance to maybe land on a roster. It'll be a challenge that he heads out to Vegas, and we'll give you the details on that in just a couple minutes. We're overdue for a break. We'll get caught up. We got a few emails to get to. We are wide open the final 35 minutes of the show. We're going to have some fun with it, too. Back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mic rolls on here. We are guest-free for the final half hour of our show. Couple things just to give you an update on the schedule now, because I'm not sure everybody is plugged in on NBA Summer League. So it works as follows. What Jacksen was referring to is the California Classic, which begins next week, actually. That's next Saturday, July 5th and 6th, along with July 8th at Chase Center in San Francisco. So San Antonio will be there. And you remember Tyson Ward, our good friend, former Bison standout, played with the Spurs last year in the NBA Summer League. We actually talked with Tyson last summer about his experience, just won another championship with Paris basketball over in the Euro League. So Jacksen will play there. Then they move on to Vegas, and that starts July the 10th at the Thomas and Mack Center on the UNLV campus. That's the Summer League proper, but they have a couple of installations. One is in San Francisco. The other is in Salt Lake City for a couple of days as well. Basically, it's content for ESPN and NBA TV, ironically, to have during this time of year when everybody doesn't want to watch Wimbledon or soccer or baseball. There is some basketball going on. But that's the upcoming schedule there for what Jacksen has coming up. Our poll question again. Going back off the top of the show, because we got some response. I want to read them now before we get into some other lighter subjects. Off the Twins' rain delay yesterday. Question was, how long would you wait out a rain delay at a ball game? Between 0 to 2, we heard Cory Provus' answer, which is right what I would answer. 2 to 4, or 4+ hours. Email comes in. Dom, it depends on the situation. Went to a weeknight Twins game a couple of years back while I was on a business trip. Multiple rain delays. I stayed for the finish well past midnight because I rarely get the chance to go to a game. Now, see, that I agree with that. If I was by myself, yes, I would be in that 2 to 4 window. I would. Depending on the team. I don't know if I'm waiting out the Giants for 4 hours. You know, if it's to see the Yankees, begrudgingly, probably, yeah, I would. Like the Cubs are coming to town to Target Field in a couple weeks. I would wait that out because the Cubs don't come. Now, granted, everybody comes here every other year. I would do that. If it was Ohtani and the Dodgers, right, I'm staying. If I've committed to the tickets, I'm staying. I think it's on a case-by-case deal. Certainly, though, if my family, there's no way. Like, even if my son becomes a diehard baseball fan, I would find that still hard to believe he'd be willing to sit around and wait for 4.5 hours like some of those fans did yesterday. And by the way, kudos to them. If they did, absolutely. Then you got to enjoy the fruits of it, got to sit right close down to the field, which was fantastic. More power to you. That was great. All right, we reached bottom of the hour here, so we'll get back on time. We'll break. We come back. We got some realignment news to chat about, and then proper etiquette for air travel, because I'm going to be doing it next week. Hot topic here to wrap up on our final half hour. Back after this. Just knew we couldn't talk some fun stuff here. Breaking news comes in. Here it is. South Dakota State is officially opting into the House versus NCAA settlement, opening the door to bold new opportunities to enhance the student-athlete experience like never before. Official tweet comes out from the South Dakota State Athletic Department. There it is. So that means each of the Division I schools in the Rushmore State have decided that they are opting in. South Dakota State joins the University of South Dakota, each of them opting in. Press release has just been sent out by the school. I can read from Justin Sell, athletic director. It says, quote, after a thorough review with our university regarding the recent changes made to the House settlement terms, we feel this is the right time to opt in. We have been fortunate to have tremendous academic and athletic success over the last decade, and this move positions us well for today and in the future. I'm extremely excited to have the opportunity to provide additional resources to enhance our student-athletes' experience. So new scholarship rules and roster limits for NCAA Division I athletics begin with the start of next season. Also goes on to say South Dakota State athletics strives to continue pursuing excellence among peers at the conference and national levels. By opting in, Jackrabbit Athletics will have the opportunity to provide additional support for student athletes while further enhancing their experience in the yellow and blue. Recent changes to the settlement allow a one-time opportunity for institutions to grandfather in members of team rosters, allowing current student athletes an opportunity to remain on their respective teams for the remainder of their eligibility. Obviously, that's something we have hammered on here over the last 3 weeks on this program to discuss. And this is actually quite the flip-flop, because Justin Sell had said at least 2.5 weeks ago that SDSU was probably a firm no, that they were going to opt out. And obviously something changed in the dynamics of this or the financials of this that they think that they can financially make this a go. So the Jacks are in, joining other Missouri Valley Football Conference schools, Southern Illinois, South Dakota, and Murray State that are in. No word yet on North Dakota State or the University of North Dakota on its decisions. The deadline, as you see, is Tuesday on what they want to do. I'm a little surprised, frankly, but the grandfathering in really changed the dynamic, I think, for a lot of mid-majors, because that's why I think NDSU was certainly against. I think UND was even made a statement out to say that they were against it. But I was told this on Wednesday when I was talking with a few higher-ups at two different schools, that still majority of the schools don't have the FAQs in on what the actual answers are if you do this. Now, I can tell you Matt Larson, who visited with us, 2 weeks ago, was 2 weeks ago yesterday, returning from a vacation, and now a decision has to be made over the next couple days. If you're sitting here asking me, what is NDSU going to do? Right now, maybe opt out. I thought 2 weeks ago was a hard in. They were going to do that, and then everything is flip-flopped on this over the last couple of weeks. Email comes in on this. Don, there's no debate on whether or not NDSU needs to opt into the House settlement. You opt in. Why would you give our competition a one-year head start? If we truly have FBS aspirations, we can slowly increase our scholarships so it's not a major undertaking. I agree with all of that. I think if you are in FBS mindset, you got to go. You got to do this, and we got to look like it. That's always what I have maintained on that. I think I asked Matt Larson about that when he was on the show 2 weeks ago. And whatever the decision is, Sam's going to make this happen next week. So no worries that we'll have you fully plugged in on this decision come Monday, because I don't think we're going to have one in the next 20 minutes or so before we wrap up the show. But I would lean towards now. Does this change the equation that both the South Dakota schools are in? No, I don't think that affects NDSU's decision-making, nor whatever UND decides to do. I think the roster deal was a game changer. I really believe that. And I think they can make this a go. Whether bringing the NIL in-house is a big deal as well. And I think NDSU has some real desire to do that. Not to say they're not with the collective and not supportive of what Jay Bartley and the Green and Gold have done, but I think there is some real excitement about having that under their own umbrella and what they can do with it. That being said, I'm sure there are some older donors, older boosters that probably don't understand the whole implication. Like, the think of walk-ons is just going to be gone, which is not accurate, at least in the immediate term. Like, if you're a John Smith and you are a walk-on now, you're a freshman, you're going to be guaranteed a spot for the entire length of the time you're on the team for the next 3 to 4 years. That's not going away. And that's important to understand. I think there might be a section of fans that maybe don't understand that. And again, it doesn't mean you have to scholarship 105 guys in football. I don't believe that would happen immediately. I don't think it's going to happen with SDSU or USD. I think there's opportunity there that they could scholarship up to 75, but that's a big number, because you've got to add the requisite amount of scholarships on the women's side. So that's 24 scholarships you got to add. Maybe that's doable. Maybe that's more doable than I know or say or think. But to me, that seems like a whole lot of money. So that's the latest there. So both South Dakota schools have decided now to opt in, and we wait to see what comes from the North Dakota schools. I would anticipate we would have a decision by Monday. I would think when we reconvene here on this program Monday that maybe during the show that we have exactly our answers on what the future holds. But the Jackrabbits are in. All right, I had two other things I wanted to get to in this segment. The first, another thing that has to be decided by Monday, are realignment moves for schools, because the new fiscal year begins on Tuesday. And we're nearing the end of something that began 4 years ago when Texas and Oklahoma decided to leave the Big 12 for the SEC. And we talked about it here on this show 4 years ago. Like, oh boy, here we go. The amount of dominoes that are going to fall from this. And it could hit Fargo. This is finally the window for North Dakota State to make it to the FBS. And here I am sitting 4 years later. Older, grayer, heavier, and the Bison aren't going anywhere. 40-some-odd schools have moved. Maybe 50 schools have moved. Missouri State is moved. And the Bison aren't going anywhere. We have like 2 moves left. Texas State is next up. Texas State in San Marcos, Texas, come Monday, will be a member of the new look Pac-12. The official word will be then. Their Texas Board of Regents is meeting Monday to confirm it, but reports from Pete Thamel and various other sources is that Texas State is going to leave the Sun Belt Conference and move to the Pac-12. Texas State football is actually pretty good. You'll know their head coach. G.J. Kinney is the head coach of Texas State. He left Incarnate Word to take the Bobcats job. He led UIW, as we'll remember, to the FCS semifinals in 2022. They came up here, scared the heck out of the Bison with Lindsey Scott at quarterback. And then he took the Texas State job, and now that looks like a good move because they're bound for the Pac-12. And I know it's not the Pac-12 that you'll remember, but that's what it is. It's basically the Mountain West Light. Thanks for this, Eric. He's done an awesome job on making these maps. This is what it's going to look like come 2026. Remember, Gonzaga is going to be in there as well as a basketball school, but they needed a football member, and they're going to go grab a school out of Texas. So you've got Texas State, Colorado State, Utah State, Boise, San Diego State, Fresno, Oregon State, and Washington State as part of the new look Pac-12. So what does that mean for the league that they're leaving? Texas State is leaving the Sun Belt Conference, which had been pretty stable. The Sun Belt, frankly, had moved up in the group of 5 world in terms of the teams that they had and the competition that it provided over the last couple of years. And they had grown so much they were in 2 separate divisions. And they had plenty of former FCS schools there. You had the likes of Georgia Southern there, James Madison, Old Dominion, App State, Coastal Carolina. We're all in the Sun Belt. Made a lot of sense. And now with Texas State leaving, they do not have a foothold in Texas anymore. It looks like that they're going to go add a 3rd Louisiana school out of Conference USA and take Louisiana Tech out of CUSA to fill out their opening here. Conference USA, of course, is the home of the 2 new FCS transplants in Delaware and Missouri State. So you're saying to me, Tom, what about Conference USA? If they lose Louisiana Tech, can they come get North Dakota State? And the reporting on this says that's likely not going to happen. Because if they expand right now, prior to Tuesday, the league has, as you can see, Jacksonville State, Western Kentucky, Sam Houston, Liberty, La Tech, UTEP, FIU, New Mexico State, Middle Tennessee, and Kennesaw, right? So if they lose, that's 10. If they were to lose 1, obviously they're down to 9. Add 2, they're at 11. There is potential that maybe UTEP would go as well. Granted, UTEP's not really good at anything, but they just got in there. That they would stick at 10. So I'm here to tell you, I'm going to ruin your Friday, that it doesn't look good right now. And that's probably it for at least the next handful of years until the next media rights deals come up, and that's in 2030, I want to say. That's probably where the wheel will stop in terms of what happens at the big boy level, at the FBS level. And we already went through yesterday what went down, the Big Sky adding and the WAC dissolving and the United Athletic Conference going and getting what's going to get. It's tough right now, folks. It's a tough beat. I'm not going to lie. I really thought that, the Summit, Missouri Valley would be able to add somebody. I don't know who that would be. We went through the options yesterday. There are not many. And it doesn't look like moving up is certainly an option right now. So I'm not here to kill the mood for you Bison supporters of FBS football, but I don't see a path right now. I didn't really see one after Northern Illinois got the football-only invite to the Mountain West Conference. This didn't change things here because this had been in the works for a bit on Texas State. We had heard Texas State's name since last September, that's a market that is growing. Football's good, that you want to be in Texas. Location, location, location. Everything about it. Okay, well, now that I've harshed everybody here, we'll try and bring everybody back up before we wrap. So we'll break now. We come back. We'll wrap things up. Get you ready for a great Sports Friday, great sports weekend, and we'll get out of here. Hot Mike will wrap right after this. All right, wrapping things up here for the week. As I mentioned a couple times, I'm out of here next week. We're excited about this. Been planning this for a bit. Heading back to New York. My son and my wife coming with. They have not been back in 2 years to see my pops and my mom, my sister, my extended family. So I haven't been home over the 4th of July since 15 years. It's been a little bit. So excited about that. Sam will be in next week and get you. It looks like it's not going to be a quiet week. I can tell you that. I think there's going to be plenty of stuff going down, and he'll have you covered starting on Monday. Now, air travel is crazy right now. Goes without saying. But there are a couple things that I need to figure out because we're flying through O'Hare, which I tried my hardest to avoid, but there's no direct shots from Fargo, North Dakota to Syracuse, New York. So unfortunately, that's what we're going to have to do. We've got a bit of a layover window, so I'm fairly confident that we'll be okay on Monday. Fingers crossed on that. Anytime I fly actually with my family, everything's great. It's when I fly by myself is when things go sideways. So I'm keeping to that mentality here. But two things. How often, and I do this, I'm guilty of it, normally because I'm running behind trying to make a plane. But as soon as the seatbelt light comes off, people stand up on the airplane. And that part is fascinating to me. Like, unless you got to run, which I did the last time I flew, I don't understand that. The part that actually, and I'm really going to try hard this time, come Monday, and if anybody sees me at the airport and I do this, make sure you remind me, is that not to, as soon as the announcement, like, hey, we're going to start boarding, that everybody stands up. And I'm in, whatever, Group Z, right? I'm in the back. That there's no right. Like, I don't know why people do that. And I'm one of them. To not stand up, that's my goal. And I'm hopefully when I come back here in a couple weeks to tell you that I didn't do that. That's absolutely what I'm trying to do. Whether I accomplish it is a whole other deal. But I'm going to try my hardest not to stand up as soon as they say, hey, we're boarding, our premiere, because I'm not that. Or Group A or Group 1. I'm at the back. That's my goal, is to not do that. Other than people watch, that's the other thing I can imagine for people to do. So that is the assigned goal for when I'm gone. Other than that, to have a great time and see some family that I haven't seen in a couple of years. So looking forward to that. All right, poll question time before we go. We talked about it off the top of the show. How long you'd wait out a rain delay at a ball game? Overwhelmingly, 0 to 2 hours. That's what I voted, 78%. For the people that voted 4+ hours, I love you. You are hardcore that you would stay that long. 6% of our voters said they would wait 4+ hours to wait at a ball game. More power to you. That's not my cup of tea. Unless the Mets have a chance to win the World Series, I don't know if I'm waiting that long. But appreciate everybody voting on that. All right, let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. All righty, here we go. We got, obviously, the Twins coming up at 6 o'clock against the Tigers on Twins.tv for that one. We still don't know who the Twins are starting tonight. Not even Cory Provus could tell us that. That's coming up at 6 o'clock. Minnesota Lynx are in action tonight against the Atlanta Dream. Boy, this is the start of a huge stretch for the Lynx. They're playing about 12 games in 14 days. 6:30 on Ion tonight for that one after their loss in Washington. The Atlanta Dream are pretty good. We'll see if Nafisha Collier will play tonight. She missed the game on Wednesday against Washington. And the NHL Draft begins tonight, 6 o'clock from Los Angeles on ESPN. The Minnesota Wild do not have a first-round pick. Got a handful of UND guys going to get drafted this weekend. Rounds 2 through 7 go tomorrow. Our thanks to Cory Provus and Jacksen Moni for joining us. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Everybody have a great weekend. Have a great 4th of July. I'll see everybody in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. See you next week, everybody.